Hello, welcome back to the workshop. Last time we left off about halfway through the process of getting the XJ back on the road, getting it legal. And I tell you what, I'm pretty excited by the idea of actually taking this thing out on the road legally, no fear of being pulled up or anything like that. Not that I've been riding it on the road at all before now, but you know what I mean. Like, it's going to be an exciting step to go from having just this hunk of machinery that lives in my garage to something that I can actually get some like real utility out of. So super excited for that. There are two jobs we need to tick off before we take it down to VTNZ and get hopefully the tick of approval. The first one is getting the seat to latch correctly. So at the moment, on the bottom of the seat that we made, there is a latch that came off the original seat and it kind of just latches like this. It's pretty basic, but there's nothing for it to latch onto. So we need to weld something in place onto the frame that it can kind of push down again and latch against and do its latchy thing. So that's the first job. The second job is to sort out the loud exhaust. I've been waiting and a little baffle has turned up in the mail finally. So we'll throw that on and hopefully that's the loud exhaust sorted. We'll have a secure seat, and honestly, I can't think of anything else that might go wrong. Something unforeseen perhaps, but we will just have to kind of try it on and see. So let's get cracking and get this thing back on the street. Oh my god, it's finally here. The reason this video has taken so long to get done and get out is mostly because of this thing. This is a baffle for the exhaust which I ordered online from Hamilton, which is only a few hundred kilometers from where I live. And let's just say that not all courier companies in New Zealand are built the same. This got stuck in Hamilton, it got stuck in Wellington. It was just a mess. Lots of calls to the company to get it sorted, but we got it, it's fine. So we've got some stuffing for the baffle. What we're going to do is pop this in, see how it sounds, try some stuffing, because I suspect that this is not going to stop too much noise. So we'll see how that sounds and we'll do a bit of a comparison, and then we'll try some stuffing, and then away we go to get a waff. Well, actually, let's take this opportunity to do a little bit of a comparison with the exhaust sounds as I throw in the baffle for the first time. Here it is, unbaffled. I hope you can appreciate the just gruntiness of that. To be in the room with it is quite intense. Versus the baffled exhaust, much more subdued. A bit more of a note to it, but still actually super loud. So here we're just cutting off a little bit of the material to wrap around the baffle. I'm just going to use some wire, wrap the wire around it, and then just sort of twist the wire up to make it nice and taut. I don't know if this is the way you're meant to do it. Don't copy me, because I haven't checked on this job and how this is actually meant to be done. So do not take this as a tutorial. It is definitely not that. And in it goes. It's actually a super simple job. There's actually already a hole in the exhaust for the screw to go through, so. And to be honest, it hasn't made, a huge difference compared to just the baffle. So just for the sake of a real comparison, here it is unbaffled again. Back to the throaty goodness. And here it is with the wrapped baffle. It's a pretty big change. When you're on it, you don't feel quite as obnoxious. It's still really loud though. I think it needs probably more wrapping or a more extreme solution. Okay, So the last job on the list is to find a way to secure the seat properly. So you can see I've basically taken this little lever thing here off the original seat and repurposed it. So what we need to do is connect something onto the frame that will allow us to kind of latch that in and then sort of pull that back to detach it. I know it's crude, but it'll get the job done. So that's the next job.
To be honest, I was a little bit worried about doing this job. Just cleaning up the frame there a little bit and cleaning up the bolt that I'm planning on using as the latch. I was a little bit worried because I figured it was going to be quite difficult to get the welder in there, and I was thinking I'm going to have to weld this like 10 times to get it to fit nicely and do its job as a latch. And I didn't do it the first time. There it goes. Second time, it was a little bit better. Enough to send it. Threw a few more tacks on. Just figured, you know, why not? Let's just get this thing done. And as you're about to find out, it's not perfect.
Hey, well, it's not perfect, but it'll keep it on, and, you know, I can reach under here, and it's functional. I'd call it functional, but it's not perfect, like a lot of things on this bike. So yeah, we might just kind of see how that goes. I'll pop another tack on there and put a bit of paint on there, stop rust, and we might be alright. So I essentially redid that whole job off camera again because I wasn't quite happy with where it sits. Now it's super firm and goes in there nicely, so let me show you what I mean. Cool. So the job is to tuck this in the end, above all the wires, give that a little flick to get past the bolt, and it should go on like that. And now it's super firm on there. Could be better, but, well, actually could it? Feels pretty damn good to me. Happy with that.
Here's something the Yamaha engineers could improve. That bolt. It's a pain.
Okay. Well, the morning of truth is here. I didn't sleep very well last night. Is that bad to say? I was thinking about this thing. What are all the things that could go wrong with this WAF check, all of those sorts of things. But I've decided to take the approach of just, hey, this is his first WAF in 8 years. So if things don't go to plan, that's okay. At least we'll have a list of stuff we need to fix. This morning I've just been through and buttoned up a few things, like just made sure the tank was installed properly, like bolted down properly, that kind of thing. Just put a few zip ties in various places, so hopefully they're happy, and we'll see what the result is when I get back. Pumped. Let's do it. Okay, we're back, and I mean, it's not good news, but it's not bad news. We didn't pass, but that's okay. We've got two things that we have to fix, which is all good, and just some stuff that I've noticed when I'm riding it that is like not important for the WAF, but is just not that great. So two things. Basically, the headlight doesn't meet the requirements. Like, it doesn't. I guess there's a certain pattern that it has to make when it comes out, and you know, and it just doesn't do that. So new headlight. It's all good. That was a cheapo. It's fine. I don't mind replacing that. And also the rear tyre needs replacing because it's got some cracking that I didn't see. That's it. Headlight and rear tyre. So that's pretty cool. And then obviously we just have to sort out the other bits and pieces. So what did I notice that gave me cause for, not concern, but that we need to figure out? Basically, there's just a severe lack of power. And it's likely that it's just a carb issue, probably, but it might be a spark issue. It sort of feels like maybe it's missing on one cylinder or something when you're kind of just cruising along at a steady throttle. So it might be time to start thinking about new coils, new coil cables, basically just checking the ignition system properly, and then obviously getting the WAF stuff sorted, and maybe a good old clean of the carbs again, which I haven't done in a while, but they should be okay. And also just like making sure it's getting the right amount of fuel and all that kind of stuff. So a tune up essentially is what I'm saying. But we've got a path forward, a few things to tick off, a few things to fix, and we'll be in business. Thank you so much for coming along on this little journey with me so far. It's amazing to have people watching, and I'm really excited to kind of carry on this project and keep these videos coming. So really appreciate you being here. If you want to follow along for the journey, feel free to subscribe, give the video a like. It'd be super helpful for me as I sort of try and build this channel and work on making these videos better. Any suggestions, let me know. I'm all ears.
So I figured a better course of action was actually to test the coils, and it turns out after a bit of poking and prodding with the multimeter, the coils are absolutely fine. So I'm willing to bet that it's not a spark problem. So we can kind of maybe rule that out, maybe revisit that down the track. Here are the spark plugs actually. This was quite illuminating. So spark plug 1 looks okay. Spark plug 2. 4 looks pretty much the same as the other two, but then 3, oily mess. Oily mess. So something's up with carburetor number 3. Cool. So the other problem is the rear tire. Let's whip that off. It's a pretty easy job, just a couple nuts that sort of clamp down on the rear axle, so you can just knock it out like this. Sort of did it in the wrong order, and yeah, I regret kind of prying against that, but that's fine. And off it comes. And there it is, the pristine new tyre. Actually really happy with it. There's nothing quite like brand new tyres. So on to the next job on the list.
So I managed to get a headlight from everyone's favourite motorcycle store. I'm not in love with it. It's mostly this. I would love for it to have a housing that is kind of just a nice oval shape. A bit like the one that we have on here, actually. I'd want it to just have kind of this or an oval-ish kind of shape. Yeah, something we can solve down the line. The main point with this light is just to get something done. You know, we've got this WAF to worry about, so we just need to be able to push on, and that's what we've got. Tyres looking really nice. Obviously brand new. So really excited about that as well. That should be a big old upgrade for it. Feel a little more sturdy on the beast. Let's pop it on.
So obviously it's the reverse procedure of taking it off, if that wasn't obvious. But it's a little bit of a pain to get into place, but once it's in there, it kind of clunks in there quite satisfyingly. On goes the axle with the little spacer in there between. Kind of just knock it in. The torque bar, I think that's what it's called. Something like that. Torque shaft, maybe. Stops the whole hub from rotating. And we just tighten up the main bolt. Connect up the rear brake. It's a little bit of a pain. You got to kind of pull the brake up to take up the tension, but not too bad. Ended up replacing the little pinch bolt there. Joined me on a rainy evening actually to do the front headlight. So I don't know if you're into that kind of thing. I really enjoy rain on the roof. Those little small, you know, smell the roses kind of things in life. Anyway, so this job is pretty straightforward. We're just going to kind of feed the wires through. Actually, this was a lot easier than I thought. I figured this was going to be a massive just tangle of wires that took me, 20 minutes to wrestle through. It was like a minute. On goes the little pre-prepared bolts. Nice and easy. Tighten those guys up. And this is a shot that I kind of ballsed up. Sorry. This is really just me doing the wiring for the plug. And the real test, can I squeeze all the wires in behind the light housing? Yes, I can. And with that, we're off to attempt another WOF.
Drum roll, please. Blam. Yes, that's a registration. That's what they look like here in New Zealand. And tucked away under here is a shiny new Warrant of Fitness. That, my friends, is extremely satisfying. We did it. We did it. Yes. The bike now is actually fully legal to ride on New Zealand roads, which is incredible. It couldn't be more satisfying to actually have had this vision in mind for so long and to have put I don't know how many hours into this bike to get it to just the state that it's in now. It's really, really cool to have finally kind of met that milestone and sort of tick that off and actually have something now that I can enjoy riding. Also, thanks to the guys at the VTNZ in Upper Hutt here. Great team, just like super awesome to deal with. They sort of, rather than them just taking the bike and poking around with it, I kind of walked through with them and they talked to me about the progress and all that kind of stuff. So that was really cool as well. So those guys are great. Couple cool things actually. In New Zealand, when a bike is, or any vehicle is, maybe not any vehicle, but like a car and a bike at least, once they're 40 years old, they become classic vehicles. And so the registration for Stanley, for this guy right here, is actually super cheap. It's like $50 for a whole year versus what you would pay for any other 650, a newer 650. You're talking sort of $500. Like the registration fees in New Zealand is super high because they use that to cover all the sort of the safety and ACC, which is like our accident cover thing. So all of those levies go into that. But classic bike, they waive a lot of those fees. So I've got this bike that's like super cheap to keep on the road, which is amazing. I guess the question now is what's next for the XJ? And to be honest, like I said the other day, I really kind of want to just ride it. I want to kind of just have a bike that I can ride for a while, and eventually we'll do a whole other sort of phase to this. But right now it's kind of just like enjoy the fact that we've got it. However, there are some things I'd like to tidy up, because while I do want to ride it, I also want to be confident that it's going to be reasonably safe and also reliable. And so there's kind of a list of things like, on the dash, there's some LEDs that don't currently work that would be great to work, because you want to know when your lights are on and when your indicators are on and that kind of stuff. So we'll get those connected. Still not great on the front brakes. They're a little bit grabby, like they're sort of a bit jerky kind of thing, which is not great. So we'll figure that out. Badly needs a churn. Because it's got a larger exhaust on now, it's going to need new jets, that sort of stuff. So that's another thing. I'm going to make some side covers, fix up the fuel line, and then sort out that nasty oil cooler situation as well. So all of that is to come in future episode, which will not be too far away. We'll just kind of chip away at those jobs, and hopefully the next episodes are a little bit shorter and a little bit easier to digest than these ones have been, as I've sort of tried to power through all these things to get the WOF sorted. So please come along with me. Feel free to like and subscribe. If there's anything you think I can do differently or better, please comment below. Or if you just have any comments, if you really love XJ650s or XJs in general, or Yamahas, or just motorbikes, let's chat about it. I'd love to. Thanks very much for stopping in, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.